More chips, don't let the salad win. That's the message in terms of nature of the food maybe that we consume in Wales.
It's Wrexham.
He's done it, the magic little man, Watkin. Oh, he scored! Steve Watkin has got a goal!
Ball breaks for Bowden, it's in early, as Rush likes it, and he'll chase it, he'll collect it, Ian Rush!
Bennett, and that's a second for Wrexham. Well, classic, changing defence into attack.
Conley! 1-0 to Wrexham, Carl Conway's done it!
Trundle for options, put it back to Morels. Oh, it's a good save! Oh no, it is, and it's in the back of the net. Andy Morel. What a goal! What a goal! What a goal from Al Robson Carnham! Folks, good wicket kids up. Something special is happening here tonight. Wales are going into the semi-finals of the European Championship.
Wanagati, Ferguson has definitely won it for Wrexham now.
And here's Mendy! There's that race-class roar again! Saved by Foster!
Wales are going to the Euros next summer. Wilkinson's wonderful Welsh women.
Wales! Wales have done it! They've reached the World Cup! It's him again! Champions! Wrexham are promoted! They have their storybook ending!
The first team in history to eat more chips and not let salad win.
Hello and welcome to the Eat More Chips podcast, the official podcast for one of the most recognisable flags in the Welsh football supporters universe. New season, new look, same old crappy jokes. In a week when Auckland, New Zealand has seen an unstoppable one-cat crime wave. Leo, the 15-month-old cat, has been light-pawed to say the least. His prolific laundry pinching from clotheslines and bedrooms in the placid beachside neighbourhood of Mairangi Bay has turned him into a local celebrity and earned him a new moniker. He now goes by the name of Leonardo da Pinchy. Leo has got expensive taste. His frequent hauls, including silk boxer shorts, thick men's work socks, preferably with the clothespin still attached, and in one mortifying episode, a brand new $300 New Zealand dollar cashmere sweater. My daughter was home sick, and she rang me from work saying, it's bad, this is the worst thing he's brought in, it's really bad, said Leo's owner Helen North. Because it was beautiful, I was like, oh, can I keep that? But I couldn't. Instead, Helen turned to a neighbourhood WhatsApp group to return Leo's stolen goods to their rightful owners. Her usual message, of course. Are these your undies? Missing underwear, you say? I wouldn't blame a cat if I were you. I blame this pair of knicker sniffers. It's Jamie and Das.
I'm assuming he's talking about you again, Jamie, because, you know...
I don't know what he's on about. Like you said,
I thought he was going to drag out some ancient tale of when you were younger.
No.
No, we're not going there. Gentlemen, welcome back. Did you enjoy your week off? No more holidays now for you two, that's it, right? No more holidays, okay? While the rest of us sit here and work, no more holidays.
I may have a couple coming up.
I couldn't believe it. You know, they're literally the second we down tools for a week, everything goes nuts, absolutely nuts. Jamie, when you messaged me going, I can't believe we're not doing a pod this week. Yep, yeah, totally. Well, we'll try and make up for it this week by trying to cram in as much as we possibly can. But let's start, obviously, on the very, very sad news of the loss of Joey Jones. Joey sadly passed away a week last Monday at the age of 70. Joey obviously being town and Cymru club legend. He was born Joseph Patrick Jones in Llandudno, joined Wrexham in 71, age 16, made his debut at 17 versus Chester City in the Welsh Cup. He primarily then played at right back. He helped get Wrexham to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup in 1974 and the Welsh Cup trophy in 1975. He was then signed by Bob Paisley's Liverpool in July 1975, somebody I know Daz will remember very well, and we'll get his take on Liverpool in a second. In 1977, of course, he was part of the fantastic Liverpool side that almost won the treble, got to the FA Cup final where they lost 2-1 to Manchester United. I remember that final very, very well. But that year they won the league title and the European Cup, making Joey the first Welshman to win the European Cup title, alongside such greats in that team as Ray Clements, Emlyn Hughes, Phil Neal, Alan Hansen, Jimmy Case, Sammy Lee, Graham Souness, and of course, Kenny Dalglish. Joey returned to Wrexham in 1978 for what was then a record club fee of £210,000. That record remained until we signed Ollie Palmer a few years ago. Wrexham obviously then were in the Championship, as they are now. He signed for Chelsea, helping them get to the second division in 1982, and then went to Huddersfield Town in 1985 before moving back to Wrexham in 1987. He retired as a player in 92 with a total of 594 professional league appearances and 27 goals. During this time, he also played for Cymru, making his debut in 1975. He had 72 caps and scored only 1 goal, but that made him the joint 15th most capped player for Cymru in all time. From 1992, Joey continued to coach for Wrexham, being assistant coach, interim manager in 2001 between Brian Flynn and Dennis Smith. He was under-18s coach, he was reserve team coach until he fully retired in 2017. He then became youth team ambassador until 2 years ago. He was voted Wrexham's ultimate cult hero in 2005 and the 63rd all-time Liverpool favourite player in 2006 in a poll. Daz, let's talk about Joey first as a Cymru and Liverpool legend. Before we talk about, obviously, his Wrexham exploits, where he kept coming back to. I mean, is it underestimated the impact that Joey made as a Welshman first within the Liverpool setup? That famous team of the 70s, I remember distinctly, and I'm sure you do. How much of an impact did he make in that team?
Oh, I mean, it was a significant, such a period of success for the club, and just to even be in that squad says everything about the qualities that he had. He had to be a good player just to be alongside the greats like King Kenny and Graham Souness and people like that. But you know, so just to be even considered, and I think it's only underplayed because he unfortunately didn't really get the length of career at Liverpool that probably his qualities deserved. I mean, he was by far, deserving of a place, but he just couldn't get into the team. Between the resurgent sort of Tommy Smith at the time and a particular Alan Hansen coming through as the young prospect. He just struggled to get into the team because the formation that they had, and I know he was left back and Hansen was centre forward, but I mean they were just being used across the back as far as I can recall and read up on and stuff. So he was just never getting the game time that he wanted. So to move on, I think, was a reluctant move. I think he always enjoyed his time at Liverpool. But during that time, I mean, what a time to be there in terms of just missing out on that unprecedented treble at the time. But to win European Championships, to be the first Welsh.
He won 2, obviously. I mean, even though he didn't take, he sort of said, well, it's sort of 1.5 because I didn't really take part in the other one because I was sort of there but not really in the team. But the important one, that Borussia Mönchengladbach one, he absolutely played a major part in that one, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was a cup favourite, and the fans, we all know that Liverpool have a particular way of honouring the teams, the players, the great players over the years, and he still was right until the end revered. Whenever he went back to Anfield, he was always welcomed, and the Kop absolutely recognised his contributions and stuff. So as much as it was a short period of time in relative terms, a significant time for him to still be well remembered and fondly remembered. And then for Cymru, I mean, I have to sort of remember. I don't remember him playing for Liverpool because my association with it was 79-80, so he just left. And so I would say that my memories of Joey was in a Cymru shirt, and at a time when there were some great players, and the teams that probably could have or should have qualified. The 78 team, there was the 74, 78, that era with the likes of James and Yorath and and all of that in the early days, and then right through.
And it was home championships then as well, wasn't it? That was the big thing for me. I mean, I particularly remember that 4-1 win against England at the Kairos, where Joey was absolutely pivotal in that win, and that was the thing. The home championships then was kind of the big thing. So the win over England at that point was incredible. But the thing is, I mean, the thing that amazed me about it is, I mean, obviously he was a massive Liverpool fan, Joey. He had a Liverpool tattoo on his arm, but Liverpool fans said he played like a fan. He didn't play like a gun for hire. He played like a fan, somebody who supported the club, and that's, I think, why fans grew to like him so much.
Yeah, but also that's the same pride that he would then bring onto the Welsh shirt as well. He did play his own game. He was he was unfaltering in terms of he didn't shy away from a tackle. He was quite physical, but he was dependable, solid, and he could motivate the team. I think he was quite the joker and quite the character as well. So there was a bonding element there as well. And and he was there at the Cymru side that kind of evolved into the Ian Rushes coming through, the Mark Hughes is coming through. It's Ratters and all of those guys could will absolutely owe him a sort of a debt, because he was a superstar at a time when our superstars were limited to maybe Yorth at Leeds and things like that. But to play for Liverpool, win the European Cup, all of that, I mean, that gives you pedigree, and you certainly you can feel that in the tributes that have been coming from some of those great players, and they all recognise his contribution. And it's a shame for him and that era that Cymru never qualified for a major tournament. At least there was too many names in that list that should have gone to a tournament, and he's one of them by far. So I think, trailblazer at a time when the game was changing. And yeah, it's a sad loss, but like you said, he was loved by so many teams, and that's the thing, because he brought that same energy to every club he joined.
Jamie, we've seen the club this week paying their respects. The Mould Road stand is awash with flowers, and the club, obviously, representative of the club, including Michael Williamson, all the youth team players, Gemma, and obviously the Phil and the team there, and our captain James McLean, all paying their respects to Joey. We kind of grew up with Joey, although you probably don't remember seeing him. I remember seeing him definitely, but it was, again, because of the 80s and whatever. Joey would always come back like a homing pigeon to Wrexham, but he'd always recognise that fist pump that he was always give. He would always play his heart out for the club. And even after he stopped playing, he was totally and utterly devoted to Wrexham. How big a loss, even though Joey's not been actively involved with the club for a number of years, but he's always been around, he's always been part of the fabric of our club. How big a loss is this for Wrexham?
It's a tough one. It's a real tough one, isn't it? It's sadly, it was news that I think we probably all knew was coming, because I think it's been well publicised that he's been in ill health for a while. But like he always was on the football pitch, he battled like a warrior. There's, like you say, from a footballing perspective, Daz has given us a great sort of a non-Wrexham perspective there, which is great, because obviously a lot of the focus that I've read and heard this week has been very much from a Wrexham perspective. But what's been very evident as well, and you touched on it there yourself, is when players move around different clubs, a lot of the time they're not held in high regard at all the clubs that they play for. But that absolutely wasn't the case with Joey. Everything I've read and heard and listened to in this last sort of couple of weeks from Huddersfield, Chelsea, Liverpool, Wrexham, is just how beloved he was when he played for the respective football clubs. And I think from a footballing perspective, there's not much I can add to it that hasn't already been said. There's been some unbelievable tear-jerking but also funny stories I've heard from the last couple of weeks. People that played with him, people that knew him really well. I think, like you've just said, my kind of lasting memory of Joey, I have vague recollections of him as a player in like the late 80s, early 90s. For me, it's the popping his head out of the dugout with Flinney in response to the fans giving it the fist, Joey, give us a wave. That's my kind of etched in my brain of him. I think the thing for me, which has been the most kind of significant thing from the last couple of weeks is listening to all the stories that people have told about him as a person. Because I think we all, I didn't know him obviously personally, but we all knew what kind of a guy he was. Humble. Yes, a hard man, a hard guy, a hard footballer. Nobody harder than him on the football pitch, but also a humble guy. Someone who was very much a sensitive human being to other people from things you've heard and things I've heard about him. A true gentleman, and it's a sad loss for the footballing world. You could tell that by the outpouring from all over. I mean, some of the names that paid their respects to him is a who's who of the footballing world. It was incredible, which just goes to show kind of the mark he's left wherever he's been on people that you wouldn't even think of. But I think from a Wrexham point of view, we have a responsibility now as a football club, as a fan base, to make sure that his legacy is never, ever, ever forgotten for the future generations. Because in 20, 30 years' time, when we're hopefully a stable Premier League club and we're in Europe, and we must never, ever forget the contribution of Joey to our football club. Legend is bound around all too easily these days, but he was a true Wrexham legend, and that name of Mr. Wrexham, there is nothing more fitting for the man. I know you've championed it already. They've already committed to having a statue up out in the new plaza bit of the new Kop. I agree. Something more than that needs to probably be done. I understand the sentiment behind the Kop, naming the Kop after him. I saw a suggestion about naming maybe the training, the new training academy after him. That would be quite fitting, because I think he was so integral in the early days and early careers of so many young players. That would be quite fitting. But yeah, a true loss, really sad. But yeah, what an absolute legend.
Matt from Racecourse Ramble suggested maybe first match of every season becomes the Joey Jones memorial match, and the money from it could go to a charity of Joey's family's choice, and therefore then we could have him on the programme, and every year then, like we do with the Gresford Memorial, which absolutely is another vital part of the club. I think it's of that level. I think if we did something like that where we had a selected day or a selected match, whether it be first game of the season or whether it be a certain date that was important in Joey's life, I think that would be absolutely brilliant. I mean, obviously, 20th of August, there will be a commemoration at the Stoke Kairas, and you'll be able to go online, I think, from Friday to apply for free tickets, because obviously you need a ticket to get in. It won't be just a free-for-all, but it'll be in the Macron stand. The Macron stand will be full. There's no doubt about that. They will, people. I'm planning to come down for it. It's on a Wednesday. Yeah. I'm going to travel 30 miles to go and 130 miles. I can't think of anything else for me. I'll definitely be there because I need to pay my respects to the man, because he was an absolute legend. So for you, Joey, rest in peace. You'll never be forgotten as long as I take a breath. As of today, we've had the Wrexham third kit launch, and obviously much anticipated. It was kind of rumoured that it was going to be a blue and white structure to commemorate 160 years since the founding of the Patagonia settlement, when 153 Welsh settlers arrived on the ship Mimosa in Argentina. And it's the Argentinian style flag. And if you've not seen it, I'll describe it to you. It's primarily blue and white hoops. I think they call them hoops now, with a badge, the United crest in the centre in black. You've got the badge and the Macron in the standard way, like you have in the second shirt, in red piping on the sleeves and collar, rounded collar. The back is clear, apart from MetaQuest at the top, which is great for the number. And then obviously the piping at the bottom, which has had different lettering on the other shirts, says, "Don't forget where you came from," which obviously is the wording from the Welcome to Wrexham documentary. Jamie, this has only been just released today. It's growing on me. I'm not sure whether I wanted it a bit paler blue, a bit more Wrexham lager blue. It's a little bit too blue for me, but I'm going to go and look at it in person when I go to the shop. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, much like the yellow away kit. I've not seen that in the flesh either yet, so I'm still sort of jury's still out. I certainly wasn't as taken with this as I was with the home shirt, for example. I don't mind the color you mentioned about the blue, the shade of the blue. I don't mind the blue. I like the dragon detailing in the blue. The issues I've got with it are the mismatch of the colors. So at the moment, like you said, you've got the United logo is in black, and then the Macron and the Wrexham crest are in red with red piping. I would have personally preferred it to be just all one color, so everything in the piping and everything in black or everything in red. That's bothered me a little bit. But the thing that's really sort of grated on me, and this is more just an insight into my strange OCD brain, but I don't like the fact that if you compare it to the yellow one side by side, you remember when we talked about the yellow one, we spoke about how high the sponsor and the badges were up on the chest. Well, this is not the United and the back. There's a good gap. It's probably where it should be, but I just don't like the fact that it's not consistent. But yeah, I don't know. I envisage I've got the home one. I envisage potentially getting one of the other two, but I don't know yet. And so when I get an opportunity to go to the club shop, my plan is to have a look at them both in the flesh and probably walk out with both. But yeah.
Daz, this is a bit Reading, isn't it? It's a bit Reading whenever I look at it. It's very, very close, or maybe QPR. What are your, obviously, as a neutral, and you're not gonna buy it. What are your thoughts? Do you like it? I mean, what you can't see, I don't know whether you can see, obviously, on the lower picture there, the embossed of the dragons there on the blue. I'm not sure whether that's a nice touch or not.
I mean, I would say it's probably lighter than the the Reading and the Royals, the QPR stuff. So that's fine for me. It's obviously it's inspired by the same country, but it looks Argentinian rugby. Because
some people have said that. For enough, they've said don't buy it, just go and buy an Argentinian rugby shirt because they're pretty much the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So because obviously the football it's vertical stripes and the rugby have gone horizontal, and so it has that rugby feel about it. But to the average football fan, they're not going to make that connection and stuff. I mean, I only make that association because it's a country that we seem to be losing against, again. So it's just a little bit raw. No, but I hadn't seen the dragon detail until you pointed it out, and that's lovely when it's up close. So I'm sure that's a detail that the wearer, if you're going to buy it, you'll get the benefit from. But it certainly doesn't read when it's on the pitch. It's way too small and stuff like that. So yeah, and I think I would the red and the black. I think the red for me is actually just, I know red is the Wrexham color, but it just feels just off, and I don't know what it is about it in terms of the red. So
I agree. I think if they'd have done what is red on that shirt, if they'd have done that black, I actually think that would look really nice. It's the mismatch is what I think is putting me off a little bit.
Anyway, you're right. I won't be buying it.
No, definitely not. No, I mean, also you're tight, so there's no way you're going to buy it anyway.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Wrexham have played their primary kit in this colour about turn of the century, towards the beginning of the 20th century. They were known as the sugar bags, and there actually is photos of existing. Although it wasn't stripes, it was kind of a block. It was like a blue block, white block, blue block, rather than hoops as it is there. Jamie, how would you rank them then? The three shirts we've seen, if you cut your best to worst. Which ones would you put where?
The home one is a country mile ahead of both of the other two. I think all three are okay. There isn't one that I would say is absolutely hideous. I like the sentiment behind this one a little bit more than let's make it yellow after a daffodil. This is the sentiment behind this, and the story behind this is better. The home one is miles ahead of the other two for me. At the moment, if I had to put them just purely based on looks, I would probably still put the yellow one slightly ahead of this one. But like I say, I need to see this and the yellow one in the flesh, which I've not been able to do yet. So, home, away, third in that order.
So, of course, as soon as before we went away, we were bemoaning the fact that, we'd went out to Australia, New Zealand, pretty much played the same squad and done not particularly well, but it didn't matter because it was training. We thought, when are we going to get some players? When are we going to get some players? And then I switched the computer off, and the second I switched the computer off, then we get a whole raft of players signed in. Of course it is. So let's look at who's gone out and who's gone in over. Just remember, this is only the last week. And there's possibly more to come if the rumours we're hearing today are to be believed. So obviously, and Jamie's rubbing his hands. First of all, not pictured here, Luke Bolton has gone out to Mansfield Town. No surprise on that one there, but I'll get Jamie and Daz's take in that in a second. And then we got 4 signings in a row. 24-year-old left-back Libby Kakache from Italian side Empoli, who signed until 27-28 for an undisclosed fee. He's also a New Zealand international. 24-year-old midfielder George Thomason from Bolton Wanderers until 27-28 for an undisclosed fee. He's the ex-Bolton Wanderers captain from League One. 31-year-old midfielder Josh Windass from Sheffield Wednesday until 27-28 on a free transfer due to the terrible state of affairs that is going on at Sheffield Wednesday at the moment. He scored 13 goals in the Championship last season. And 26-year-old midfielder Lewis O'Brien, which was kind of the big signature signing from Nottingham Forest until 27-28, again for an undisclosed fee, but reported to be something around 4 million. He's made 150 Championship appearances and 13 Premier League appearances. He was on loan at Swansea at the start of last year and for the last half of the season. Jamie, thoughts? What do you think? What do you think of these 4 signings in general?
Next level. I think, like you said, we spoke last time we spoke. We brought in Ryan Hardy and we brought in Danny Ward, which are 2 good additions. But then fundamentally, out on the tour was, I think I used the phrase that didn't learn anything about the team because there was nothing to learn. We were playing the same players in the same way as we did last season. But then, the touch paper was well and truly lit last week. These are on paper at least 4 phenomenal signings. Kakache. Look, none of us can claim to know a great deal about him other than the few little highlights that we've been able to see on YouTube and stuff. But the bottom line is this is somebody that's played in Serie A. Okay,
Serie A. Let's just stop that for a second.
Yeah.
We signed somebody from Serie A, right? Not Northern Counties League. Serie A.
Technically, we've signed him from Serie B because Empoli got relegated. But I get what you're saying. But no, I think from what I've heard, he was like in a poor team. He was a standout player. He's an international, New Zealand international. I think he's the captain, New Zealand captain. Granted, New Zealand are not a front running international country, but still to be
made more World Cups than we have.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And they have to fight against rugby. I mean, New Zealand is rugby mad, and they still manage to hold their own. So, and cricket,
absolutely,
as a cricket side as well. So, yeah.
But I think from the clips we've seen, or I've seen of him, great addition. Looks exactly the sort of left wing back we need. Strong, fast, agile, can carry the ball forward, can defend. Very much what you would expect to be the long-term replacement for James McLean. I think the big question mark is, does he start? Because it's a big investment for some, and having him sat on the bench, you're not going to. I mean, the fee reportedly is 2 million up front, isn't it? Potentially rising to 4 million. So it's a huge investment. But yeah, great signing. The Thompson one is probably the slightly more interesting one of them all from the point of view of it's unlikely he's going to be a guaranteed starter. I read some quotes from Parky that he it's a player he knows well. It's a player he's well aware of, and as a player that he likes. He spoke very, very well in his interview. He seems a very down to earth lad. He likes a yellow card from what I've read. So that'll be interesting. I get the feeling he's come in more as a squad addition, backup support, potentially one that can kind of continue to develop with us. So I don't necessarily see him being a starter. The Josh Windass one is a massive coup in my book. To bring him in, okay, we've not paid a fee for him, but take that with a pinch of salt, because I'm sure whatever fee we would have paid for him has been paid to him and his agent to get him to come to Wrexham. But the fact that he's chose to come to Wrexham over other clubs, because I dare say he would have had offers coming out of his ears.
He was definitely chased. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a brilliant addition. With the greatest respect, and I do mean this in the nicest possible way, but he's an Elliot Lee upgrade. You know, he's that attacking, creative midfielder. He can change games like Elliot Lee used to in the National League for us. He can do that in the Championship. He's proven he can do that in the Championship. So that's a fantastic signing. But the headline one, just purely on the basis of fee paid and where he's come from. I mean, Lewis O'Brien signing is unbelievable. You know, the fact we've signed him a Premier League player, because that's the bottom line. We've signed him.
Swansea fans were gutted this week that we signed him because they really wanted him back. They liked him last season when he played for them, and I think that's
Swansea seem to be very, very upset with any mention of Wrexham at the moment. It's like I know they wanted him, obviously. Whether they couldn't, I mean, it's not like they haven't spent money this summer, so whether they just couldn't put a deal together for him. Again, from what we understand, we're not privy to
maybe once he escaped Swansea, he really didn't want to go back. I mean, that's what most people think.
Possibly, yeah. Maybe cut those cable ties and got out of the room, and he ran home. I think from what we understand about that deal, it was a complicated deal because I think it had to be restructured. I think the initial fee that was accepted by Forest, I think it had to be restructured because I think his kind of personal demands were more than we were probably initially prepared to pay. But either way, they've got the deal done. It's an unbelievable signing. I wasn't sure we'd necessarily see a bigger one, but you know, if the Jungle Drums are to be believed, that could be eclipsed in the very near future. With these 4 additions to Hardy and to Ward, I'm feeling a lot more content about our chances of being able to stay in the Championship next season now than I was. But obviously, this needs to evolve into a functioning team, doesn't it? I mean, it's going to be fascinating to have this conversation again in a couple of weeks when the transfer window is closed and our business is done. Because, like I say, if some of these rumours are to be believed on players that supposedly are very close to coming in, I haven't got a clue how they're going to play, how he's going to play them, because I just don't understand.
Well, I wanted to ask that of Daz, because if you look at it, obviously, you know, we commented, didn't we, the last season, that when we started in League One last season, we were almost kind of in our usual, we're going to try and score one more than you, and we were a bit leaky at the back. And then you saw this conversion from kind of October onwards where Parky shored up the back and made it a much more defensive team. And that's what won us, you know, the promotion, and won you the chip shop title, because you kept going 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and that's how we won it. We kept doing it by 1-0s. These here are all, you've got a very, very fast left back who can play in many roles on the left wing, and he's young. You've got an attacking midfielder, an attacking midfielder, and an attacking midfielder. There's no defensive about any of these 4. Do you think this is kind of Parky saying, right, okay, I've done the defensive bit now I need to improve as going forward and score more goals?
Just before you answer that, I'm not sure I'd necessarily agree with that. I think from what I've seen and read about Thomason, I would say he is more of a defensive midfielder. I'd say he's like a George Dobson sort of role. And O'Brien, I think, is very versatile, can literally play anywhere. He can be a 10, he can be an 8, or he can be a 6. But you're right with what you're thinking. These are not necessarily, you know, enforcers off the bat. They're a mixture, I think.
Yeah, I think the issue is you shored up the back last year against the opponents you had last year, and the jury's still out for me whether or not you've got the capacity. Are they still the same players that you need to shore up the back this year? Because yes, you're right. If you've got all this attacking prowess, you're going to need to score more goals than you did last year. And you guys were constantly on about it all the time. Where are the goals coming from? Where are the goals coming from? It feels like some, and you know, your prayers have been answered. But I do question whether or not the team has that solidity against another level of opposition, of which these teams all are. You know, you've got teams coming down from the Premiership from last year and not entirely lost all of their players. You know, You've got teams that are always continuously pushing and are good championship performers. It's the tough. It's what arguably the toughest league in all of those divisions and stuff. So, I admire the fact that he's gone for attacking players, and on paper, a lot of these players sound really good. I know you're Josh Windus is a good example of the ambition, but 31 felt a little bit on the sort of the mature side, but then obviously he's got experience. So is that what you're bringing in? Because that didn't do you too badly with your Fletchers and co. But what is exciting is that you've got, like I say, a New Zealand international who's been playing at top level. And it sounds exciting, and he's 24. You've got a Nottingham Forest, a former Nottingham Forest player, and he's 26. There feels to be an element of that longevity, that planning ahead feels a little bit more secure in those signings, whereas it feels like your Josh Windus, okay, 31 is still, it's on the right side of being in that older catchment. Do you know what I mean? He's
Still given a 3-year contract. They've all been given 3-year contracts.
Yeah,
They must have, that's part of it, I think, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, but he's probably seeing this as his final check, really, because when you get to 34, if he's not producing it now, then I can't see him going anywhere else. So I think you're absolutely right to be positive about it and exciting about it. I still wondered if like I say, you talked about your Brunts, you talked about the O'Connells, you've got, we're talking about players that have not been necessarily always been consistent, and do you have the depth in the squad? And I wonder if there's another defender to come. But then it feels like a wholesale change of a team now, and then you're beginning to lose the essence of what made this team successful.
And also, it's difficult, isn't it? Because if you drop one or two players into a starting 11, you can probably get them up to speed quite quickly. But now we're talking about 6 starters. And there are lots of names now that are floating across. I mean, Connor Cody's been mentioned today. And I think Wrexham are trying to become Cymru 2.0 because both Nathan Broadhead and Kiefer Moore are big names that apparently are seriously in advanced talks. I mean, what if we were to get, Daz, people like Kiefer Moore and Nathan Broadhead? Because we've seen them for Cymru and they're great players.
Yeah, but they've also both excelled at Championship, and then when they made it into the Premiership, perhaps didn't hold down their place in the team. So it tells you roughly where they are in the sort of pecking order, and in a position where, of course, big money signings are. We talked about strikers, we talked about forwards, that they cost, and so if you can get somebody that's affordable and is delivering, these guys have just been bouncing around the outer perimeter of all of that. So they're clearly proven at Championship, and that's a good sign. And yeah, of course, if you've got Welsh players, Welsh international players playing for a Welsh side, that's really exciting. It's something that you wouldn't, I wouldn't have imagined happening 2 years ago. Certainly not 3 years ago, but 2 years ago, even 1 year ago, I still think you were a season away from all of this. So yeah, incredibly exciting. But again, more strikers, don't know if they're the right kind of strikers you want. But I mean, who am I to talk about having brand new players coming in and completely sweeping clean with new team? I'm watching another set of transfer rumors going on, and we seem to be doing the same thing in
the revolving door that is Liverpool FC at the moment. But as we've said, haven't we? The big thing one of the things that Alex Ferguson said: when you are at the top, you make it better. You don't stop.
Yeah.
You keep making it better.
Yeah.
That's why Manchester United were so successful for the amount of time they were, because that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and you can't guarantee you keep your players. People want to move on. There's decisions that they make for whatever personal reasons they are. That's fine. Some, and then some people get injuries and so, so absolutely you do need to be doing that. And Wrexham's doing the right thing. They're investing. Clearly, there was a conversation had. It'd be interesting to see what that episode of the documentary will be like. Where are we in or are we not in? I mean, it clearly, at the end of the previous season, they talked about, are we willing to kick on and invest? And they obviously said yes, didn't they? So this is the signs of that. And now though, what is kind of a relief, I'm sure, for you guys as well, is that the story of the money is now no longer the main, it's not the main narrative of your club anymore, because everybody in this division has probably got the money that you've got at the moment. So it feels a bit more of a level playing field, and so these players are not necessarily coming because it's big money, that you're just matching what's around, but there's clearly some sort of ambition message that's being shared about the ambition of the club, that you've got players that are moving from other championship sides coming to you, so that's one telling sign, and you're getting some really good fringe Premiership players prepared to come down that one division, because they've obviously believed that there's an ambition, that the ambition will get them back to the Premier level soon, whether it's this season, next season, or whatever. But I think that whatever this narrative is, whatever the conversation is, the messaging is good. It looks good from the outside. There's clearly a desire to be there, and it can't be all about the wages. I just don't believe you're splashing the cash out in silly forms to get these players. I think there's a savvy buying going on, but I think it says a lot about the message that your club and the boardroom are sort of are giving, and it's coming. It's looking quite fruitful.
Can't just wait to see all those Lamborghinis and Ferraris bumping their way down Crispin Lane as players trying to come into work. Jamie, so we've mentioned obviously some of those names. How many more are we expecting? We've had 6. How many more are you expecting to see?
At this stage, I don't know, because it's, all I'm relieved about is that we have clearly had some plans and they've put them into action. Granted, okay, it was maybe after the tour, maybe that was always the plan. Because I was worried, like, when we played those games in Australia, New Zealand, I was worried, because I was starting to think to myself, we are way short of what we need to survive, not compete, just to survive, and that has to be the first aim. But then obviously this flurry now, I mean, you mentioned it there, the hottest rumours as we speak now are, like you say, Nathan Broadhead, Kiefer Moore, reportedly from pretty credible sources. Those are more or less done deals. Whilst I am giddy with excitement on both of those, I am also absolutely perplexed what the hell we do with them. Because, and I'm not even really included in that the conversation about the likes of Palmer, Fall, who you just can't see having a future at the club, full stop. But it even brings into question the likes of Marriott, is maybe another one. But for me, it's just I'm so fascinated to see how Parky is going to adapt his model to fit these players in. Because if you're bringing in, take Nathan Broadhead, for example, £7.5 million is reportedly the fee we've agreed. Let's assume that comes off and he comes in. You are not paying that kind of money for somebody that's not going to be playing. You're not going to be paying £4 million for Lewis O'Brien and him not play. You're not going to bring in a player like Josh Windass and him not play. So you start looking at the personnel potentially we're going to have available from an attacking perspective. I'm talking now, and you think, how the hell is he going to fit all this together? But look, that's something that we can all get excited about. I'm just super excited about the caliber of player we're bringing in already, and the caliber of player that we're reportedly looking to bring in. Daz makes a great point about the defence. That's the one area, the centre defence for me, where I do think we need an upgrade. You mentioned it before, obviously the rumour today, what's his name? Peter O'Rourke, who's usually he's very credible. Yeah, he's very credible with his stories. Has said we've put a bid in for him. Reportedly, there's interest from his side for a move to Wrexham. That, I think, that would be a very shrewd addition. A wealth of experience as a Championship, Premier League, and an international footballer. Would for me would be a great upgrade on the two that we have already to play alongside Max and Lewis Brunt. If you could get a player like that through the door and that he becomes your starting centre back, I'd feel a little bit more content than I do now. Outside of those three, I mean, like I say, I'm excited by the prospect of Kiefer Moore and Nathan Broadhead, but outside of that, I'm genuinely scratching my head at any potential. It doesn't mean there's been this. Is he Colombian or Argentinian guy that's name's been banded around? There's the guy from Ajax. You have to take it with a huge pinch of salt because we get linked with anyone and everyone. But there does seem to be legs.
I was linked last week. They're going to sign me for $3 million apparently, and I said I'll do it for 20. I'll do it for 20 pence and a bag of quavers, but nobody seems to listen to me. So.
But there does seem to be legs in the three we've spoken about. I can't wait for a couple of weeks' time when the transfer window is closed to have this conversation again to see what we ended up bringing in full and also outgoings. We've got to see some outgoings. We cannot.
There were rumours that Jacob Mendy may be going out on loan, but nothing substantial.
Mendy and Far reportedly are being subject to loans, which absolutely they we need to get them out on loan or sell them or whatever. But they're just a couple that we surely to God we've got to be looking at seeing at least half a dozen of what you would call first team players that need to be moved on, whether that's sold, contracts paid up, or loaned out, because we can't keep that many first team professionals. But no, like I say, with the signings that we have made already, regardless of any more we bring in, I am feeling a lot more optimistic about the season. But I temper that with that's not me saying I'm going to start posting a HMS Pistol League picture on Twitter, because that's not what I think.
We won't be saying that if we do well in our first 5 games. You'll be like me. You'll be jumping on the rooftops with your big flag, guaranteed.
Probably.
Now on the Eat Chips podcast, it's time for today's newspaper, tomorrow's chip paper, where we catch up on Cymru and Wrexham football news. First up, Wrexham Academy might have been involved in friendlies over the last couple of weeks. They played Preston North End under-19s and lost 5-3. Wrexham goals by David Edwards, Rio Owen and Sammy Chesworth. Stoke City under-19s they played next. They won 3-0, 2 goals by Carrick Murphy and 1 by Cian Nolan. And then during this week they played Plymouth Argyle under-18s and again won 3-0. Goals from Jack Jones, Julian Wadecki Estina and Wes Graham. Wrexham Women have finally got a brand new manager, and we're delighted to welcome Jenny Sugerman as the new head of women's and girls football, as the title is now known. She was academy coach, one of the academy coaches at Leicester City Women. Before that, she was 4 years as head coach of West Brom Women, and she's been assistant manager of Aston Villa Women in the WSL in England. Wrexham Women have got some friendlies coming up. Apparently, although not announced, there is one due to versus Sporting Jacks at the Hodges Stadium in Florida on Monday the 11th of August, which is kickoff time midnight BST. One has been confirmed, which is versus Shrewsbury Town Women on Sunday the 24th of August, and that will be an open house, so you can go along and watch Wrexham Women versus Shrewsbury Town Women if you really want to. Don't forget your tractor. Obviously, we've heard this week as well about Brooke Cairns signing for Burnley Women, so good luck to her. And a new role has been advertised for women as a director of women's football, which would be basically Jenny's boss, and I would imagine would be Gemma's boss as well, because Gemma is head of women's administration. Daz, what do you think of this appointment for Wrexham Women? Good appointment to replace Steve Dale?
Let's break it down into a couple of levels on this. First of all, I think it's really empowering and inspiring that it's a female coach. I think we talked about this, I don't know, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. We were talking about the fact that it's a shame that these posts aren't filled by more women in the game. It's now beginning to feel that there are more people who have proven themselves as capable, qualified and considered, which is fantastic, which is really important. I don't know enough about her as a coach. I mean, obviously, she's come from West Brom. It doesn't. I've tried to dig out why she left West Brom in June after 4 years. And she says it's all like it's a privilege and stuff like that. But it was a time to move on. But I. There was no suggestion she had a club to go to, and it doesn't suggest there was any ill feeling. So I can't work out why. It was going okay, but West Brom is women's English League third tier. So what does that mean in terms of level? That level of experience. I know she's been at the academy at Leicester, which is a higher team, and Aston Villa as well. So we know she's got the pedigree there. But in terms of proven track record and things like that, the West Brom job is the one to sort of base it on. And yeah, it's third tier, but let's not underestimate the third tier women's game is still better than, regrettably, than the women's game in Wales. So we've got somebody who's got experience at a higher level. So hopefully that level of professionalism, that professional, that intensity, whatever we need to raise the game in Wales. Hopefully Jenny can be part of that, and I think it's exciting that Wrexham have done that and have gone down that route, because we know we need this in Wales. That's the thing. If anybody saw the results recently of Cardiff going into Europe this week, unfortunately that's the end of their campaign straight away. So it was short, and it just
4-0.
shows.
Sorry, 4-0 for those who didn't see. They were 3-0 down at half time, so at least they managed to stop the rot a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, I mean it's a reminder that our league, our level is significantly way behind where we want it to be. There's a whole range of reasons. We've talked about that many times, and I'm sure as we get coaches now, hopefully like Jenny Sugerman in, there could be the beginning of that change. I still think that clubs have still got to put the money in and back it. Wrexham is still guilty of that as well, but all the clubs need to be doing that. But also because it's the Welsh system and not a parallel with the English system. So Wrexham men play in the English system. This is the peak of what the Welsh women can do is this league. So that it's you're going to struggle to keep these players, and Brooke Hens is a good example now of moving on, using this as a platform. Kehoe from Cardiff, one of the best players that they had, has gone to West Brom. Funny enough, so she sees that as a stepping stone to her progression. We're going to lose some of these the best players in the Welsh system after the season, 2 seasons at best. You can't afford to lose those quality players. You're not always going to have local players, Lily Jones, who will wear that badge with honor and stuff, and will probably stay there because she's duty bound. But if a quality team came in and the money was right, would she go? Iddenden, has played at a higher level, stepped back. Would this be there's all sorts of layers to this. So I just think there's a lot about the whole league that needs investing and supporting, and that also goes down to play to fans as well. Turn up at the matches, go and watch the games. That's going to make a difference as well. Now Wrexham have started a good trend there. There's an upward their numbers seem to be going up last year, despite results. So it's an important thing, to be able to maintain those numbers. That success is sort of linked to that, and so hopefully this stability, by now naming a coach, somebody with pedigree, and is overseeing all of the football across the whole club for the women's game, the girls' game, allows the team to develop and allows therefore some foundations for success. And good luck to her.
Certainly got her job cut out. She's got about 4 weeks. We don't even have a retain list as yet, so we don't even know who's going to be playing for us. And
I mean, that's where the club. That's why I think the club is falls short. There's things that they could be doing that would help the situation. This was not one of them. So so. If it was a case of waiting to get the right person and this person wasn't available, that makes sense. But Jenny's been available since June, so whether it's negotiations or there were others they were looking for, that would be telling. But yeah, no, good luck to her. I think it's an exciting time ahead.
We'll talk about the Adran League in a bit. Wrexham AFC have submitted a planning application to Wrexham Borough Council for installation of a further 2,250 seats in the new Cop stand. Submission forms part of the planned future-proofing the Stoke Kairas to host international matches, and together with the 5,500 seats already approved by Wrexham Borough Council Planning Committee, this takes the capacity of the new Cop potentially to 7,750, which would be amazing. Jamie, why didn't we do this from the start? Why did we just go 5,500? Why didn't we just go max to begin with? You know, can you work this out? Because I can't.
Get them fucking spades in the ground. No, I think why didn't we do it first time round, or why didn't we do it at the beginning? I think fundamentally, what, and I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but what's happened this week has probably just been another eye-opener to the football club about how far behind off the pitch we are versus what's going on the pitch. I think you've got I think you maybe got to give the people involved at the club a little bit of credit, in the sense that at least when they've gone back to the drawing board with this design, they've come up with a model that was always going to be expandable in quite an easy way, rather than it being 5,000 and then, but if you want to add more, it's going to be a lot more work. But you're right, it should have just been done from the off. The fact that they are talking about doing it or trying to do it before they've even started building it is good. Hopefully, the council bigwigs can harumph quickly and give it a green light so they can crack on with it. Because my understanding is the racecourse is pivotal to the under-19s championships next summer. It is August tomorrow. That is now 10 months away, and you can't you can't use the Kairas for that tournament if it's got 3 sides. So if they don't hurry up, they're going. With the best will in the world, I'm just struggling to see how they're going to get this built. For me, from a personal perspective, and I'm sure I speak for many others, the fact that there's going to be more seats in this new stand is music to my ears. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, as far as I'm concerned, get Bob the Builder there right now and get cracking.
Well, they've still not signed off on the WST covenant, so they've still not signed that paperwork yet. And if you remember, the hold-up on the 5,500 planning permission was all about piss. Because that's what the environmental side was. So, we could run into the same problems again, and we could be 3 months down the line and still not have planning permission. So this is the thing I'm concerned about.
They must be confident, though, because surely to God, they wouldn't have jeopardized doing this by putting the application in for the additional seats now. Surely they wouldn't have done that if they weren't confident or didn't have something planned that they can get it done in time. Granted, sometimes some of the off-the-field stuff at the moment is a little bit accustomed to like a circus, but surely for something like this, it's they're going to have a plan. You would like to think so. Who bloody knows? But yeah, let's get it built.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it built. Sky Sports have waved their unmagic wand. Thanks, Sky, and have announced their fixture moves up until January next year. Wrexham, of course, have been affected, as you would imagine. Our home match versus Birmingham City has now moved to Friday the 3rd of October at an 8 p.m. kickoff. Also, the home match to Coventry City is now on Friday the 31st of October. Happy birthday, Daz. For you, that's a kickoff at 8 p.m. So for your birthday, mate, we can have a watch party. The match away, this is the one that annoys me. The match away at Portsmouth, which is horrendous journey, is on bonfire night at 8 p.m. away at Portsmouth. I mean, it's a Wednesday. I mean, that's just absolute crap. As is the away trip to Hull City on Wednesday the 10th of December, kick-off 8 p.m. Match away to Swansea City, Daz. We're going to be doing a Friday night, if you want to come with me. Friday night, December the 19th, kick-off at 8 p.m. So that'll be a night, a Christmas, probably a last Friday Christmas, before Christmas in Swansea. Make sure you bring your body armour. Finally,
I can't believe they've put that game at 8 o'clock on a Friday night.
I know,
Honestly, I can't believe it.
Hey, I've got a West Wales passport. I'm the safe. You guys are the ones that are at risk. I've got family up the road. I can
Yeah,
claim all
you
sorts
can
of-
blend in. You can blend in as an agent.
Totally.
Obviously, finally as well, there's some kick-off times for both the festive fixtures. The match at home to Sheffield United on Boxing Day is now a 5:30 kick-off, which I suppose isn't so bad because that means me and you, Jamie, can go for a bit of a Boxing Day lunch, which is nice. And then the away fixture on Blackburn Rovers on New Year's Day is at midday 30 kickoff. All those poor people with hangovers are going to have to travel to Blackburn, which wasn't a nice experience when we went last time. Two turnstiles open and massive queues and all kinds of stupid security. Jamie, we knew this was going to happen. Can we moan, or is it just inevitable?
People can moan. They've had a good moan. We spoke about it, didn't we? We spoke about it months ago. You can't have it always. You can't have the money that is given to you as part of the TV deal, whether you agree with it or not. It's just the nature of the beast. If they are paying for a product, which is fundamentally what they're doing, they have the right to do what they want to do with it. I don't agree with it because, as I said at the time when we talked about it previously, the thing that pisses me off about it more than anything else is there's no consideration given to fans. Like you said there, that Portsmouth one is a great example. Portsmouth away on a Wednesday night, and I believe the reverse fixture is the same on a Wednesday night.
Is.
The same,
yes,
the same
is.
with the whole,
yep.
the same
yes.
with the whole one. I mean,
yes,
so that's a shit for them, as you know, the Portsmouth fans, as it is for the Wrexham fans. That's what pees me off about it. You know, as a football fan generally, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that during the season there's football on all the time. You know, pretty much any day of the week you can put the TV on, there's football. I love that perspective. But I can also understand it from a travelling supporter's point of view. That's what pees me off a little bit. If you want to move games for TV purposes, that's fine. But you've got to start giving a little bit more thought to the people. You know, where are the places? How far away are they from each other? I mean, first game of the season away to Southampton. That's a horrible one. A 12:30 kickoff. You know, that's a 4.5 hour drive. You know, I've had to concede on that one. I was trying to work something out to go, but just because of the fact that it's an early kickoff now, and on that day I just can't make it work. But yeah, we always knew it was going to happen, and like I say, we can't have it always. We can't expect to take Sky's money and it to not have some sort of an impact on what we do.
This is the point I was going to make. You know, Daz, reportedly Wrexham get 9 million this year for the TV rights. You've been paid 9 million. You've got to expect that Sky have some right to say, well, we've paid for the product. We want to show it. So this is what we're saying. That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Although, I mean, I agree that the clubs have to dance a certain tune because that's where the money is. But I also feel that that Sky can't just dictate to. They haven't bought the rights to play with the league in the way that they see fit, or demand certain things of certain clubs. What they're paying for is the opportunity to cover the games and therefore get the opportunity to get a return on that by having all the viewers that they're looking for. There comes a point where the league has to go, Sky, thank you. Yes, you can have what the deal suggests, but there has to be some sort of ownership of the league still owned by the Football League, and that's the bit where all of these fans' complaints are completely legitimate. But I appreciate that it's a lot of money, and exponentially this money has been going up and up and up, and so Sky are probably thinking, well, we've now paying more than we've ever paid. They're showing more games than they've ever shown. The whole package for TV football across the board is massive. And I think Championship have to be very careful that they're always in the conversation. Otherwise, it's just going to be more Premier and international and things like that. You want to be in the mix, but I think there's an element of pushback that's needed. And if it starts from the clubs pushing the EFL to defend them a little bit better, then so be it. But EFL have signed the deal now. They've made the deal with the devil.
You're assuming the EFL care about the clubs.
Yeah.
I've read some stuff today from Sheffield Wednesday where basically EFL are going, not my problem. Sorry. So they don't care about the clubs.
Money talks, so doesn't it? I'm not saying it's right, but money talks. At the end of the day, I can't see there's going to be a lot of pushback from the AFL because of the sheer amount of money that Sky are going to be paying. And likewise, from the club's perspective, like you've just said, if that's true, and every certainly Championship clubs getting £9 million from that deal this season, for a lot of other clubs, I mean, Christ, that sounds terrible. What I was about to say. I was going to say £9 million is not a lot of money, but for a lot of clubs, even at the Championship level, that is a huge amount of money, and it still is for us when you consider everything that we've got going on at the minute. It's a huge amount of money, so you're going to struggle to get any pushback from the clubs as well. But I think what's difficult is the fact that it's just some of the slots they pick are just so antisocial, for want of a better phrase. I mean, Thursday nights and things like that, and 12:30 kick. If you're gonna have a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday, that's cool. That's fine. I understand. Like I say, as a TV football fan, I love watching. It's great when there's an early game on, and then a tea time game on, and then an evening game on. I get all that, but surely there can be a little bit more coordination between the league and the TV rights people, whoever it might be, to work it out.
Ditch the 3 p.m. rule. Ditch the 3 p.m. rule. You don't need it anymore. It's outdated. Ditch it.
Yeah, but your point, this will still stand no matter, even if you've any game midweek is going to be at 7:45, 8, whatever the timing is, it's going to be late, and that's going to be shit for anybody, because you can't just say we'll only put the midweek games if it's Southampton versus Portsmouth. That would work, but that doesn't feel. What about the clubs who are nowhere near anybody anyway, and they'll always have to travel? I think we've got to be careful there. So if you want midweek games, but I think it's more connected to the fact that, are there too many games? Can you not do a whole season just playing weekends, that you have to do 2 in a week and therefore have to go midweek?
I think because the international breaks at the Championship, I think that's kibosh that, I think, because you remove a lot now for Nations League stuff. So.
You're hoping that your success as a club means that you'll be going further in the League Cups and the FA Cups, because your standard is being lifted. I guess you should be getting further, unless you come against a big name early on. But
I agree, though. Hashtag end the 3 p.m. blackout. That needs to go, because that's archaic.
Get rid of it. It's out of date. It's out of date. Get rid of it. We live in a 21st century now where you can stream anything at any point. You can go on and you can get sports from around the world at any point. Get rid of it. It's outdated. It's outmoded. It's not needed. Get rid of it. After some sweaty palms this week, Wrexham have finally released their first set of tickets and their ticket policy. And some people were not happy, to say the least. As we were recording today, Southampton away tickets went on sale, and I believe we're sold out. So 3,080 all gone, which I believe. Hull City, the Carabao Cup games for season ticket holders.
Hey, you said it right. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I practiced it in front of the mirror. The Carabao Cup. Oh, damn it. Game that's for season ticket holders, with all the rest of the tickets for that Tuesday night game going on sale as of Friday at 10 a.m. Also at Friday 10 a.m. will be the first 2 home games, the West Brom home and the Sheffield Wednesday home. Obviously, the West Brom home 12:30 on the Saturday, now being picked not only for Sky Sports, but also it's going to be on ITV Sport Live. So we're so big, we need 2 TV channels to show the game simultaneously. That's how big Wrexham are now. However, the big sticky point on this is that all home games are now balloted. That means that from Friday at 10 a.m, you basically log your interest for both those games and all the other home games and say, I would like 2 tickets in this area or 3 tickets in this area, providing, of course, you are all members, because you all have to be members. So it depends how many members. You can't just buy as many tickets as you want. Your name then goes into a ballot, and then your name gets pulled out. And if it gets pulled out, you get the tickets and you pay for them straight away. If you don't get pulled out, there is a second chance, particularly if you haven't hit the first 2 home games, is that people then haven't been to the first 2 home games, get then to the bit more to the top of the ballot list. They've got a better chance of being pulled out. Some people like this, some people don't. Jamie, it directly affects you, as although I'm the season ticket holder and we share the season ticket, you're not a season ticket holder. So you are absolutely at the mercy of the ballot. And you said to me on text, oh, am I going to rant? And cue.
Oh, I can't believe you've just outed me as a non-top red. You bastard.
You're always a top red. You're always a
No.
top red.
Yeah. Look, I think before I say anything on this, right, I think the one important thing that is worth remembering, because this has caused an awful lot of fume this week, an awful lot of fume. The thing that we've got to remember is this is a relatively short-term pain problem. We knew it was going to happen. You know, we've been lucky for the last 2 seasons by having the temporary cop and having those seats, which we didn't think we would have. Certainly not for as long as we did. So we were fortunate. And I, like you say, I directly benefited from the fact that temporary cop was there. Because of that temporary cop, I was able to, I've been able to be there for each of the last 3 promotions, which is brilliant. But we always knew that we weren't going to have it this season. And unfortunately, the lack of that temporary cop means we are 3,500 seats less than we had last season. There was always going to be a problem this year because the demand is far, far, far greater than what can be supplied. So we've got to remember that it is what it is. We will have to take the opportunity to utilize the fact that we're going to be on the TV more than we've been previously and get games like that. Hopefully we'll get some bigger away allocations, so there might be opportunities for people to get to away games, etc., etc. Like you said there, to be transparent and open. We spoke about it before on here anyway, but yes, you're right. It directly affects me. I am not a season ticket holder per se. You are the season ticket holder, and you very kindly share your season ticket with me, so I get access to some of the games. So I'm very fortunate compared to some other people, and I know that, and I'm very grateful for that. But the fact that we can't sometimes get a second ticket means that you and I can't go together. Means that my wife, who supports Wrexham, can't come along with us. So it affects me the same as it affects other people, and I know I'm in the same boat as everything else. The things that have pissed me off this week are, one, I'm going to say this, is some of the season ticket holders online this week have been just horrible, to be honest. The way that they've spoken this week about, people giving an opinion, and I'm not going to say complaining. You might class it as complaining, but we live in a social media world. It's how we've spoke about this before. It's how we interact with each other a lot of the time as fans of Wrexham or fans of any football club. It's the modern way. And because Wrexham has got this big following, it's got this big audience, it's got this big platform, there's obviously, whenever anything Wrexham happens, there's a big discussion point around it. So understandably this week, people have gone to social media to share their opinion on this news. And that's perfectly fine. People are well within their rights to do that. But when you've then got, it's not just one or two, I've seen lots this week of people being just downright nasty to people saying, oh, well, you should have been interested before the takeover and got a season ticket then. How dare you say that to somebody when you have no idea on people's personal circumstance? Just because they didn't get a season ticket 4 years ago, 5 years ago, before the takeover, when one was available, doesn't make them any less of a fan than you because you've had one for the last 25 years. You don't know their personal circumstance, their financial circumstance. As you well know, I used to have a season ticket for 10 years in the Mold Road stand, and I had to give it up. I gave it up because of work commitments, and I gave it up because of family commitments at the time, and there will be other people in that boat. I know of other people who gave up season tickets because of financial constraints and things like that. So it's completely unfair. It's out of order and unnecessary to be pointing fingers at, I'm a top red because I've got a season ticket. I've had a season ticket for however many years. I go to all the away games. I'm more of a fan than you. It doesn't work like that. And that's one little bugbear I've had this week. In regards to the ballot situation, unfortunately for the club, they were in a no-win situation. Whatever they did, a group of people were not going to be happy. I like you've just said, I've heard people this week be for and against it. Some people saying, "Oh, I prefer the fastest finger first method that we used to have," and that's a horrible, stressful scenario because I've played that game many, many times. I think the reason why I think there are reasons for and against the ballot situation. I think what it does do is it allows people maybe who haven't got the ability to be on a computer or on several computers at 10 o'clock on a Friday when the tickets go on sale to try and be one of the first to get them. We've all played this game. There'll be plenty of people listening now who know exactly what I'm talking about. I've done it myself where I've sat at my desk because I was able to, and I've got this monitor logged in here. I've got a computer there logged in. I've got my phone logged in, and I've got multiple devices logged in, all trying to do the same thing. So by having the ballot scenario where you basically mean you have a small window where you can say, I would like to be considered for tickets for that game, at least that way, as long as it's all done fair and above board, then you can argue that's maybe a better way of doing it, because there did seem to be a few little backdoor tricks that some people seem to be aware of with the fastest finger first. I'm not privy to any personally, but I've heard of a few things. So do I agree with the ballad or not? Not really, but there's no right or wrong. There's arguments for both ways. The two things that did really piss me off though about this is, one is the communication again. And this is not just about the ballad and the home. This is about all the ticket news that's come out this week. Why on God's green earth did it take so long? You had teams in the Championship selling tickets for their third and fourth games of the season before we even knew.
South Wales Reds, because obviously the Southampton tickets only came out today. South Wales Reds were saying, how are we supposed to book transport or hotels or things like that with just over a week's notice? It's ridiculous.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I think the lack of communication is terrible, and I think we need to recruit for a communications director or manager. Oh, hang on, we've got one. That something is seriously wrong. I know, and I will empathise with the club and the whole thing of, we have moved so fast on the pitch, it is going to cause pinch points off the pitch because we've moved at such a pace. I get all that, but something like this, it shouldn't have taken as long as it did for all that information to come out. That's the thing. That's the first thing that pissed me off. The thing that really boiled my piss this week around this whole ticketing thing is the memberships. Now, the fact that I can still log on now and buy a membership is absolutely criminal, because in my opinion, those memberships have been sold under false advertising, because one of, if not the key point on those memberships was, if you buy this membership, you get priority access to tickets. And that is not the case, because there was no mention of a ballad. And they know very well, if they'd have said that and would have been transparent with it from the off, they wouldn't have sold as many memberships, because people wouldn't have paid, what was it, 30, 40 and 50 quid for the 3 tiers, something like that. People wouldn't have paid any of those. I said to you at the time, for myself, I bought the gold one because I was intrigued to see what I was going to get for my 50 quid. By the look of it, I'm going to get a little leather red wallet and a key ring.
If I can do this without giving away my season ticket, yes, for your 50 quid you get a Wrexham leatherette wallet to put your cards in, and where is it? There it is, a gold member keyring. That's what you get. For your. So I mean, I paid 25 quid because I got it with my season ticket, but yes, normally it would be 50 quid.
So I
didn't get any stickers. Didn't even get any stickers. I mean, don't get me wrong, nice box, lovely box, but
so I only bought the gold membership because I was interested to see what the gift was. But fundamentally, like everybody else that's bought a membership, the reason they've bought them, well, I say everybody else, 99% of people have bought a membership because they were under the pretense that it was going to give them some sort of advantage to have access to try and get one of the very few available match day tickets for home games. And that isn't the case, because it is basically I have bought a 50 quid lottery ticket. That's what I've bought. And for it, I get a Temu red wallet and keyring. So that's. I have no issue with the membership model. I think it's disgusting that I can still go on and buy one now. I would love to know how many memberships they sold, because I think you will be talking about tens of thousands. And that many people potentially trying to get access to what a couple of thousand tickets is never going to work. It just feels to me like the membership thing has just been a big money grab. Because I guarantee if you'd have been transparent from the off and said, this is our membership model, this is what we're going to do, but just so you're aware, you're not going to get priority access to tickets. What you're going to get is you're going to get the option to sign up for and be included in a ballot for every home game.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Put your name in the hat, and that gives you the right to put your name in the hat.
And that's cool. People still would have bought them.
No, absolutely.
But I don't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have sold.
You need to be honest and upfront, and there's a definite feel of, because this you don't make this decision on Monday and then release it on Thursday or Wednesday, do you? This decision would have been made a long time ago. And obviously, there's been no mention of it. I didn't think in the club advisory board or anything. So it's not been discussed with the with the representatives. So
no, I am resigned to the fact. I'd already prepared myself that for this coming season, I will not be able to get to as many home games as I would like to, because the tickets won't be available. Like I say, I'm more fortunate than a lot of other people, because like I say, you very kindly share your season ticket with me, so I do get access to a good number of home games. But outside of that, like I had the conversation with my wife, she to be fair to her, she well, let's incite the fume of the top reds, but she is one that you would consider a newish fan. She's been following over the last few years, yet she has paid her money and has supported Wrexham Football Club far more than a lot of other people have. And she's had to resign herself this season as well, that she's probably not going to get to any home games because you won't get tickets. But we accept that. I understand that. That's what's going to happen because of what's going on off the field.
Well, it's a good job Sky have moved all our matches onto telly, then, isn't it? Because then we can all watch it. Daz, let's have a bit of calm and a voice of reason, shall we? As a complete neutral. I mean, funny enough, I was watching this week about a guy from Liverpool who talks about the hospitality packages at Liverpool, which start at £900 and go up to £4,500, and the fact that he basically, you can't get a ticket for love nor money. And it was an interesting, I don't know whether you saw, but it's an interesting, they did a straw poll of Liverpool season tickets that hold Liverpool postcodes, and it's only something like 16% of Liverpool postcode people. The rest are all from around the world. Are Wrexham being a bit moany about this? Because as Jamie said, it's a short-term issue, because when we put in another 7,750 and make the capacity of the ground 18,000, probably then this problem, if not will go away, will be easier. Are Wrexham being a bit moany?
It'll only go away to a certain degree, because you're not building as many seats as there are members by the sounds of things. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I reckon. I mean, as Jamie said, I reckon it's in the teens thousands.
I think you're right, though, in the sense of it'll go away from the point of view that unless we do by some crazy miracle get promotion to the Premier League, I can't see there being a huge increase in demand to what we already have now. I reckon they could comfortably sell easily for every home game another 5,000 tickets. So it alleviates that problem. But I get what you're saying. There wouldn't be a guaranteed ticket for every member.
No, but also you're going to get to the point, though, when this new stand is open, you're going to have a different problem, which is those who have been in the ballot, who have at least had a chance of tickets, will I am assuming get shut out by the fact that your new stand will have season ticket holders, or unless they keep the ballot going on beyond that, then there'll be at least the ballot at least gives everybody a chance to see the game, no matter how much it's frustrating. I mean, I agree with the whole thing of you've got to give more notice. You have to do it in good time. This is ridiculous, but I appreciate that they'll be able to do it for the rest of the season a bit better. But but travel is not easy. Accommodation is not, it's not cheap, and it gets more expensive the closer to the game you go. So that is at least it's a solution for now. But once you hit that capacity, you're still going to have fans who have been part of this ballot system and have paid their memberships, and will not be able to get the tickets because there'll be less available.
I think that the problem is, I think even when that COP is built, I think it will alleviate a lot of the problems, but I think there's going to be more potential arguments. I think because I think there'll then be a completely different scenario. Straight away, for example, you would expect then if the capacity of the ground is 18,000, then they're going to have to think about giving up the tech end back to away support as it used to be, because if you've got a bigger stadium capacity, you're going to have to give more away allocation. There's plans to redevelop the other areas of the ground. So whilst I don't necessarily, you're not going to be in the same scenario where I would imagine they shut the whole of Wrexham Lager stand. There's going to be elements of fans that will need to be relocated. There's this conversation about when we've got that shiny new COP, will there be more season tickets available? Given how the club seem to want to operate around tickets and ticket pricing, I wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they don't put any more available, because it's far more lucrative for them to have match day tickets than it is to have season tickets. That's for sure. So I'm not sure there'll necessarily even be any more available. But ultimately, the bottom line is that I think from having 7,500 more seats, what it should do based on the demand we've seen over the last sort of 12 months or so is that should alleviate most of the problems. From the point of view of, I don't think you would then need the ballots system. It would be a case of, right, the tickets for X game go on sale to members, because this is what they used to do. What they used to do was say the tickets for game X on such and such a day goes on sale for members at 10 a.m. on Thursday. And what you used to have to do was try and be fastest finger first to get them.
But you've explained. But I think that's you're absolutely right that does benefit the few that can sit on their laptop at 10 o'clock. I can't do that at 10 o'clock, not on any given day necessarily. So I would always miss that moment. At least the ballot has parity.
But if you have more available seats, it's not as much of a free for all at 10 o'clock on a Thursday. That's the point. When we had the temporary COP, it wasn't as much of a free for all. You could go on. I mean, say you'll be testified to this. You could go on in the afternoon and there'd still be tickets available. So the issue is the fact they've taken away that the COPs had to be taken away.
I think your appeal though as a club is going to go up. Those numbers are going to go up, and therefore I'm not sure that after. I think they'll go within the hour and a half, and they'll always go as quickly as they always did, because I think you're going to mass appeal for that.
Whether the club continues long term with the ballot system, or whether they continue with if you're a member, you get a priority access window to the general sale tickets. Whichever way they decide to go in the future, that's fine. But they need to be transparent about it, because you can't expect people to pay for a membership thinking that the biggest perk of that membership is going to be getting priority access to tickets, where actually it's not at all this season. It's not, because they've now decided to go down this ballot route. That's the biggest problem. I think when you talk about the ballot or general sale scenario, there's pros and cons to both. I can understand both sides of it. I've read lots of comments this week from people who've got opinions for both for and against the ballot idea, and I can kind of see people's different scenarios. Somebody who's maybe local, hasn't got a season ticket, but has been able to get to quite a few home games, whatever, is now angry because they've now got to go into a ballot situation where they could end up in a scenario where somebody's visiting from overseas for a couple of weeks and gets access to the ticket. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's the argument from their perspective, is that the ballot scenario takes away their, it's just pure luck, isn't it? So I don't know. It's there's so many scenarios that individual scenarios that you can understand both sides of it. But yeah, I go back to what I said before: get them spades in the ground ASAP.
I don't know. These flop reds are always bloody moaning. Well, Wrexham players are back in training this week after their jaunt to Australia and New Zealand. And, of course, with also some of the new signings, so it's great to see them. Wrexham obviously had that 1-0 loss at Wellington Phoenix, and we're not going to go into that because it was just a runabout, let's be honest. Apparently, there was a behind closed doors game versus Shrewsbury Town this week where Wrexham won 3-0. Not a lot of information on that, but according to Rob Brown-Red, Harry Ashfield was one of the scorers. But obviously, one game that we are looking forward to, which is on Saturday, kick-off at 2 p.m. BST at the De Langete Stadium in Veendam. Now, the Netherlands against Groningen FC. Groningen FC finished 13th in the Dutch top division last season. It's been requested that there are no away supporters to go to this game. I bet you there will be, because for the one thing you know, if you tell somebody from Hightown you can't go somewhere, they're going to go whether you like it or not. Apparently, the game is going to be streamed on Wrexham's website, and details for that are going to be coming out on Friday. I believe, though, it's going to be paid. It's not going to be free. It's a little
Of course
bit naughty.
it is.
There were rumours that possibly it's going on Scorio, but I've not looked that up yet, so I'll need to check that from whatever outlets I can find. Just very briefly on this, Jamie, what are we expecting? Last game before we take on Southampton 7 days later against a top of the Dutch league, but apparently the Dutch leagues are not amazing, so the level is not of Championship standard. What are we expecting?
I mean, ultimately, I don't know anything about Groningen, so I've no idea what to expect. You know, you would hope. Clearly, the opposition that we played in Australia and New Zealand weren't of Championship equivalent, as we talked about previously. Without question, that tour was purely from a marketing, perspective. So our pre-season so far has been pretty average, really, in the sense that we've played one behind closed doors game that we have no idea what went on, and then we've got this game, and that's it. So, what am I hoping for to see from this? Is to see hopefully a competitive opposition. I hope the level is a competitive one, but that we see a decent structure and give us some sort of an insight into what we might expect to see when we line up against Southampton. But
no Ollie Rathbone. He's going to be out, they think, for between 6 and 8 weeks. No J-Rod, because apparently J-Rod's got a problem with his ankle. Sam Smith is a doubt, because obviously he's not played a full match and he's been recovering from 2 bouts of surgery. So there's 3 main players from the end of last season who have really helped us get over the line that are not going to be involved. So
no, but but bear in mind we've got the new additions which we spoke about before. This is a great opportunity to give them minutes. We've got a colossal squad, so it's not like we're not going to be able to put a team out. So whatever we do, but realistically, surely Parky's going to want to use this game as this is it. This is as competitive, as he's going to get before we kick off against Southampton in just over a week. I'm a little bit concerned. I do feel a little bit we're a bit underprepared for the Championship season. I have to be honest, and I hope again going forward that there's a bit more thought given to pre-season, and again from a fan's perspective that we get some pre-season home games in the future, because the last couple of years have been terrible from catching up on with Wrexham pre-season games. We haven't had a home pre-season game for God knows how long. But no,
Fleetwood,
at least with this,
did we do Fleetwood last year?
Yeah, Fleetwood.
It wasn't Fleetwood. Yeah.
Was it last year before? But anyway,
last year.
The fact that this is going to be streamed is at least something, so we can get a look at a couple of these new players. Like you say, granted, it's going to cost money, but then water's wet, isn't it? That was always going to be the case. So yeah, I'm still looking forward to it, just purely on the basis that hopefully we're going to get to see a couple of the new players. That'll be good.
God, I've missed that music. Yes, for season 3, it's time to reopen the chip shop. Yes, don't do that face, Jamie. Our double reigning champion Daz is sitting there looking fairly smug. Let's see if his 1-0 his 1-0 scenario gets him to the title this season. More exciting than Crown Green Bowls, more unpredictable in the World Tiddlywinks Championships. As we say, this is the third season that we've decided to open the chip shop, and it's a very simple league, even though the rules are massively complicated because I made
simple
them that
through
way.
Stephen Hawking.
Basically, we predict every week on every Wrexham men's and women's and every Cymru men's and women's game. We predict whether it's going to be a win, a loss, or a draw, and if you get that right, you get a point. If you predict the exact score, then you get another point. Obviously, then that gets all totted up towards the end of the season, and that goes into a league. However, there is an important part where we have to predict what teams are going to come where in each of the leagues. In the Adran Premier, we predict who's going to be champion, who's going to be runners-up, who's going to get relegated, and most importantly, where are Wrexham Women going to finish? And then in the EFL Championship, we're going to predict who's going to win the championship, who's going to come second, who are going to be in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th playoff positions, and who wins that playoff, who's going to be in the bottom 3 relegation positions, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and of course, most importantly, where are Wrexham going to finish? We will predict this now, and then at the end of the season, we will total up the points, because if you guess a right team in the right area, you get a point. If you get the right team in exactly the right place, you get an extra point. There are lots of rules with regards to if you manage to predict them all, the bonus points that you get. And it is important because Jamie will tell you that last season, he missed out by 1 point for the championship. If he'd have got one team in slightly a different position in that league, he would have beat Daz by 1 point and he would have taken the title. Not that he's bitter, of course. So I have asked the gents to give me their don't be like that, Jamie. I have asked the gents to give me their predictions, which they have done, and now I'm going to ask them to go through and tell us why they've predicted what teams and where. First of all, let's ask the eternal question. Jamie, are you changing your team name?
I
Shit,
didn't even
you
think
didn't,
about that.
Yeah, you didn't even.
See?
You didn't ask that. Yeah, I tell you what I'll do. I will change it, and I'll change it to what I've called it on my EFL fantasy thing this year, which is hang on a minute.
It's obviously memorable.
Play the whole music. Hardy to beat.
Very good. Hardy to beat. Very good. Daz, you were slot machine last season.
I was, and
You don't have to change it. You don't have to change it. If you don't
No,
want it.
but I had a different one the year before. I had Alice in Wonderland the year before.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to come up with one now. You can think of it and send it to me.
Yeah, I think I probably should spend a little bit of time on it because, yeah, because I haven't. Yes, I need. Yeah, I need to spend a little bit more time on it than just than randomly coming up with one.
And obviously, because I came last season again, I'm expecting you two to come up with my team name, so I'll leave that in your more than capable hands. So let's look at the Adran Trophy predictions first, shall we? First up, Jamie, you predicted Cardiff City to be champions, Swansea City to be runners-up, Aberystwyth Town, that's not going to be happy, to be relegated, and Wrexham to come in 4th. Why have you picked those 4 positions for this season?
I don't think. Well, I was just going to say that, and I don't think anybody could really bet against Cardiff winning the league. And then I just spotted that you put Swansea. So
I've doubled
obviously,
down because I did last year. I've doubled down because I did last year. That's why.
In my opinion, Cardiff have just dominated this league, haven't they? Yes, I know they've not won it every year, and Swansea have won it and stuff like that. But last year they did the treble last year, didn't they? They
double.
Did
the
double
double.
last
double
year.
was it?
Treble the year before.
TNS won the Andrew Trophy.
They're just formidable in this league, aren't they? And in my opinion, it's hard to bet against anybody other than them. Swansea, as much as they didn't have a very good season last season at all, again, they are you have to say they're generally the second powerhouse in this league, and in my opinion, will bounce back this year. And yeah, I have to be honest. I was torn between Aber and Pontypridd for relegation. I just purely went with Aber because I thought they were poor last season, and yeah, maybe I can wind Daz up about it as we go through the season. But yeah, I went with Aber. And then, like you say, Wrexham's position, I've gone with fourth purely because it's such an unknown. I mean, that is proper finger in the air job for all of us because, as we talked about before, we've only just appointed a new manager who we have no idea.
I was poring over this when I made my predictions. It could go horrendously wrong for Wrexham.
I mean,
because if Jenny Sugerman can't get all the ducks in a row quickly,
we have no idea what
quite fast.
We've no idea what our playing personnel is going to be or anything. So it is proper finger in the air.
I think that's the hardest bit is knowing the personnel, because a lot of changes came in very, very late last time, and because this league doesn't start yet, there's a lot of time yet for change.
But
you're right.
It's changed anyway. Does TNS new manager, Swansea City new manager, we've got a new manager. There's three new managers out of 8.
Yeah, I know, but it'll change even more. What I mean is that it's very difficult to say, right, will those managers have this squad to play with and therefore be able to galvanize what we already know are some good players that can play with each other. All it takes is for some of those key players to leave, and the wholesale changes that your Llansawers and your TNSs did last year were so that was quite substantial, and it's way after this prediction point, so we are kind of guessing a little bit based on what is yet to come. Whereas at least with the men's one, there's the window closes soon, doesn't it? So so that's easier to work with. Whereas I think with the women's game, it's like there's a long time before their first game.
I mean, Daz, you've matched Jamie, you've pitched Cardiff City's champion Swansea City as runners-up. You've put newly promoted Pontypridd United in the relegation position, and you've matched Jamie with fourth position. What were your reasonings behind those?
So apart from the fact that ethically, obviously, I can't put Aberystwyth, because I do.
Were you thinking about it? Does that mean?
No. I didn't. But I do want to go and return and visit and see people I know there. So I would like to be welcomed back in. No, it's I do think they learned a lot. I mean, I don't think they were always as bad as some of the results. They competed in certain games. There was some element of narrow defeats where we have, let's not forget, Aberystwyth are full of 16, 17-year-olds who are, literally school kids who are, achieving brilliantly at a level, but they just don't have that resource and the desire for people to come and want to play for them, because they're not semi-pro. They're in a region where commuting is not an option. It's just it's a really difficult draw to get players to come to play for Aberystwyth. So they've got it up, they're up against it before they even start. But they were playing some good football with the youngsters, fearless, and I don't know, maybe a year on, there's some of that improvement will sort of step up, but it's going to be hard, and I do fear that they will be down there. Equally, Pontypridd are in the same situation again, unless they have an investment. They didn't assure me in any way that their season in the Adrian South was I just don't think there's any assurances either way for that one, really. So on the basis that last one in, first one out, it made sense to me. But yeah, I mean, Aberystwyth as the option there for Jamie, it's not a bad shout. It's not, we saw that last year. Apart from Met, there was virtually no results for them. And that's not a good starting point, but they know that they know what they have to do, whether or not they've got the resource and the draw to improve on that. But Cardiff, as much as they were beaten comfortably in Europe, are by far the best team, squad wise and resource wise and support wise in the Premier League, Adrian Premier League for us. So I don't see that changing. They've kept stability with their management. It appears they've kept hold of most of their players. Say Molly Kehoe's gone. There was a couple. I saw another name. I can't remember. It was gone, but they were already bringing in some names with some WSL or lower league English experience. So they're not resting on their laurels, and so I think that they're definitely the team to beat, and I can't see Swansea not turning it around. That was a glitch last year, I think, for Swansea. So I'm not as bold as you to say that they could win it, because Cardiff, the machine, is still just too good at the moment, and it's too consistent.
I've looked at it from the point of view that I can't believe I have to stay. I have to stick my neck out and say Cardiff can't do this continually. There has to be a break at some point. Swansea new manager comes from Cardiff Met. She's a winner. She's won trophies with Cardiff Met, so I think she will do quite well. So I think that's why Swansea City will win. Cardiff City will be obviously up there because they'll still be battling and whatever. Pontypridd United, like you say, Daz, I can't see. They lost a huge amount of their players to Gwalior United last season when they went down. They did well in the south, and they did well to beat Connah's Nomads in the playoffs. But this is a whole nother level, and I think they're going to be coming up against some serious work from that point of view. So I can see them going down. And I think Wrexham third. I think I'm just going to pitch it, but they do better than they did last season. I'm hoping that Jenny Sugerman comes in, although she has got a very, very tough job to do. I think Wrexham third will be right. So we'll lock those in. Let's move now to the EFL Championship. Jamie, let's go through yours first. You've called Ipswich Town as champions, Birmingham City as runners-up. Playoffs will be Sheffield United, Southampton, Norwich and Derby County, with Norwich to get promotion through the playoffs. In the bottom three, Oxford United, Sheffield Wednesday and Hull City to get relegated, and Wrexham will finish in 10th. Daz, you've put Southampton to win, Ipswich Town to come second, Leicester City, Coventry City, Sheffield United and Middlesbrough to be in the playoffs, with Leicester City to go through and get promoted to Premiership in the playoffs. In the bottom three, Preston North End, Charlton Athletic and Oxford United in the bottom three to get relegated to the League One, and Wrexham finish in 11th. I've put Ipswich Town to win the Championship, Southampton to come second, Birmingham City, Coventry City, Sheffield United and Blackburn Rovers to be in the playoffs, with Birmingham City going through as winners. Bottom three, Charlton Athletic, Oxford United and Sheffield Wednesday, and Wrexham to finish 14th. Briefly, Jamie, why have you made those selections?
Because ChatGPT told me to.
Fair enough.
No.
No. Right. Can I? You can cut this out if you want. But right, I just need to
leave it in. Leave it in.
I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Give me your league table for this," and they went through it, and I went through it, and in 24th place was Cardiff. So I then replied and said, "I think you'll find Cardiff are no longer in the division." ChatGPT replied very politely, "I think you're correct. Let me make that correction for you," and then came up with another one and put Huddersfield in. And then I corrected them, and then it came back as Rotherham. Then I corrected it, and it was Wigan. And then I corrected it, and then it was Blackpool. And I was thinking, and I did say, "Do you know who's in the Championship?" And said, "Let me go and get the information correct from these are the promoted, these are the relegated, and these who stayed." And then it came back with Cardiff at the bottom again.
That's the future, everybody.
And then each time Millwall was like 12th or 13th, and then eventually got it right. Millwall was last, and I went, "Why does Millwall suddenly feel like they're last, considering you've had the middle?" Oh, yes, that is an error of my part, or whatever it says. And let me correct that. Corrected it. Huddersfield was back, and then it just kept on going, and then eventually got it correct, because I corrected it. Said, "I think you're missing Middlesbrough," and it went, "Oh yes, you're correct." Put Middlesbrough in twice. So once I corrected it and we got to the final correct decision, I went, "You know what? I'm not entirely sure I trust your decision. I'm going to go and ask Copilot." And it went, "Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been very effective. Good luck with that." And I was thinking, ChatGPT is kind of going, "Let one of the other AIs take the shit," because and it was the most hilarious conversation.
I think by the sounds of it, Daz, I think you might need to invest in the paid version of ChatGPT rather than the free version.
Whoa, Daz doesn't pay for anything.
Anyway, so the headline of all that is our two-time Chip Shop League champion picks his predictions from ChatGPT. Brilliant. That makes me and you look even worse.
Exactly. Yeah, we look even more, don't we?
So yeah, briefly, why did I pick these? So I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, trying to predict? With a 24 team league, it's difficult trying to predict any of this because we have no idea. Can only base it on what we know. I think Ipswich. I've gone with Ipswich as champions because I think although they have lost a couple of players, I think they are the strongest of the relegated teams in my opinion, and I have to say I think they'll be champions. I put Birmingham as runner up because I just think they, after what we saw last season with them, the squad they already had, the players they've added to it, and we've talked about Wrexham's momentum a lot in recent weeks and stuff, and how vital that is. I think Birmingham are very much on a momentum train at the minute. And I've just got a sneaky feeling that they're going to surprise a few people this season, which is why I've gone for them as second. I think you've got to put Sheffield United up there somewhere. Same with Southampton. I think those two have got to be somewhere up towards the top end, which is why I've gone for them in third and fourth. I think Norwich are a little bit of dark horses this season. They've made a couple of very, very good signings. And I think they had a pretty mediocre season last year. I just think they're going to do better this year. And the same with Derby. I know they struggled last year, but they've made, again, a couple of quality additions. They've got, what's your man's name? Blackburn's manager. I forget his name. Who's back there? Who's a good manager. So again, I think they are a sneaky pick for me over the likes of Middlesbrough, Coventry, Blackburn, who were there or thereabouts last season. And I've just purely, literally gone for Norwich as the playoff winners, just as a guess. No other reason. And then the bottom three, Oxford. I think Sheffield Wednesday, sadly, just because of everything that's going on at their club, it's a horrible thing to say, but it's hard to see how.
I can't believe Daz has not even put them in the bottom three. That's confidence, or is that chat GPT? We'll find out in a second from Daz.
I just can't see any way that they are, based on what we know at the moment. I can't see any way they're going to be able to survive. The question for me was, were they bottom or second from bottom? I went with second from bottom purely because I think Hull, they've got a transfer embargo. They had a terrible season last season. So I think they're going to struggle again. And I, like you guys, have put Charlton as your third, well, one of your bottom three. I toyed with Charlton, between Charlton and Oxford. I just think, again, Charlton have made some pretty shrewd signings this summer, as much as I hate the prick, Nathan Jones, and would quite happily see them go back down. I think they have made some good signings. Yeah, looking forward to that again next year. So I went with Oxford in the end. So those are my bottom three. And for Wrexham, I, purely on the basis of the signings we've discussed earlier in the pod that we've made and the squad that we've currently got, I'm confident that we can go for a comfortable mid-table position. And that's why I've just gone for a steady 10th. I think if we can finish 10th, anything in the top half, I think should be classed as a phenomenal season.
Success, absolutely. Yeah. Daz, give us a brief overview of what co-pilot chose for you.
Okay. Let me. I actually put some effort into this year. So normally, because I don't know the lower leagues as well, and some of those teams I hadn't heard of, or at least don't know where they are in the world. So, that was my limited knowledge of the lower divisions. Now, obviously, this is closer to the Prem, and this is where my football is. And a lot of these teams have been, recent Prem. So I'm familiar with them. So I did have a go at putting them in an order. But what I did do, and I will confess to an element of research, not chat GPT because it was rubbish, and Copilot wasn't much use afterwards either. But what I did do, I went and had a look at 4 or 5 bookies, and I had a look at their order, and I also had to look at 2 pundits that had suggested a running order, and then there was one in the Sun, and I ignored it. So with the 8 sort of predictions I had, I gave them a point system, and so if you came bottom, you only got the 1 point, 24 points for the top, and I've averaged it out. And so I'm basing this on 8 different sources, including my own, of where I think they come in. And actually, the mid-table was a little bit different. Maybe it wasn't a million miles from where I started. So I'm thoroughly confident that this is as good a guess, because ultimately we've still got players to come in and out, injuries and blah 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 yet to come. So, but this is as good a guess as I was able to do, because you're right. There are so many teams in that mix that you think like, well, Leicester, they're a Premiership side and have been for many long, whether
But
or not.
could start at -9 points or -11 points though.
Well, this is it. I mean, there's all these other things that are going to come in that might throw curveballs that we don't know yet, but they might not, and so it's tricky. So that was my journey. I think Jamie said a lot of the same things as me. Like I say, I think Ipswich and Southampton are too good to stay in the division they're in now, and they'll go straight back up. I just think they are Leeds and Burnley ahead of everybody else potentially. Leicester, I think, struggling with a new man. Well, they've got a new manager now, so that's going to be a really difficult one to predict. Coventry, I mean, I can't bear the man, but Fat Frank, well, he'll do okay. He'll do okay.
Frank Lampard.
I know. Sheffield United. I like them. I always think, and if they've, if they deserve to be in the mix. And Middlesbrough was kind of my sort of curveball in the sense that, yeah, I could have suggested, but I had Birmingham next, so they've only just missed out. But just because they had a brilliant season last year, different level, as you guys know, I just don't know if the step up is going to be enough. But I don't know. I don't know. Other end, Preston North End. I mean, they're going to struggle. Charlton are going to struggle. Oxford are going to struggle. I mean, Oxford have been lucky enough to survive. It's inevitable. But Charlton, I think they were a surprise that, to come up. So just don't, so I do have a little bit of previous knowledge of them. And again, unless they invest as massively as what Wrexham are doing, there's no way they're staying up. So that makes sense to me. I mean, I've got Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth and Sheffield Wednesday just above the relegation zone. I think they survive, pending they don't implode and all the other things that come with the issues.
Sheffield Wednesday might not even be able to fulfil the fixtures this rate. I mean, the fans were talking today about invading the pitch at the first game. A home game.
Did they? I hadn't read that.
And doing a Reading and saying, taking the hit, because they feel that's the only way to get the guy out. Chansiri out. So yeah.
The man is deluded, isn't he? He's still holding out for 100 million quid for the club.
What annoys me about this whole thing is that players and staff have not been paid on time again for the third month in a row, and yet he was seen in a swanky Mayfair hotel with 8 of his friends having a big meal. I mean, the guy's got absolutely no scruples whatsoever. Really not. Just go. Just leave. You obviously can't run the club anymore. You don't have the money. You're living on borrowed time. You are annoying so many people, not just Sheffield Wednesday fans, but fans of British football in general. Just go. Get out. Take whatever you want with you. Give the club back to the fans and the people and give them chance to rebuild. Because at the moment, you're giving them absolutely no chance at all. They've got no chance at all. Daz, just to finish, Wrexham 11th. You is that hopeful 11th, or is that a fairly decent 11th?
No, yeah, they'll be 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in that middle area. I don't see them make. There's just too many big names ahead of them who have strengthened.
We all said this last season.
No, I know, and I was gonna leave with that, but I go on, Jay. Go on.
I was just gonna say, I won't lie, right? I won't lie. I was very, very close to putting Wrexham in 6th again. I was very close to it, just purely because not because I actually believe that that's what I think is going to happen. Honestly, there's not a fibre in me that thinks that we can do it again. But I said that last year as well. I didn't think we could get anywhere, and look what happened. We've seen so much craziness over the last few years. Whilst I would be absolutely shocked, I also wouldn't be shocked. I very nearly did it, but then I just thought, surely this is a step too far.
Two prediction leagues that I used in my matrix had them in 6th, but one of them also had them last. So, you don't you know
the thing with this one, the championship one, probably more than any other prediction we've done. Because what do you say? This is the third year, so we've done a League 2 and we've done a League 1, which are proper finger in the air anyway, aren't they? At this point in the season, nobody's kicked the ball. We haven't got a clue. But if ever you wanted an example of just how unpredictable this is, look at Luton last year. Nobody in a million years would have predicted Luton getting relegated again after coming down from the Premier League. If we'd have been having this conversation last year, we'd have all probably had Luton as first or second, just purely on the basis that they come down from the Premier League. And look what happened to them. So this is, you just don't know, dear. But I think we've all been quite conservative with where we think Wrexham are going to finish, and sensible, I think. And if we finish in any of those three positions, I think that's got to be considered a huge success.
Well, my choice is, as you rightly said, Ipswich. Of the three relegated clubs, they're the strongest. I think their squad is still the strongest, and most bookies put them as favourite, so can't argue with that. They're going to be champions. I think Southampton probably going to be second rather than first, only because they've made no signings so far. They've sold a few players. They haven't made any major signings, but again, squad strength and that parachute money. You know, if they don't buy anybody now, they'll spend in January, particularly if they're anywhere near this position. Birmingham have been sorting their squad out for a while, since last year, so they already made some hefty purchases last year. They've backed that up with some incredible purchases in this off-season. So I can definitely see them in the playoffs, high up in the playoffs, and I can see them winning the playoffs. Coventry City, Fat Frank, again, did really, really well last season. I think he'll probably do the same again. Sheffield United, the same, even though they've changed manager. I mean, why they got rid of Wilder, I do not know. I thought he was, they were so close to getting the win in the playoffs. To then chuck him out, I think was mad. But this new guy, apparently, he's a tactical master. So we'll wait to see whether the tactical master actually works.
Well, it's the guy from Hull, isn't it? Sellers. It's Ruben Sellers from Hull. So they were fighting relegation last year. So for him, it's a massive.
Who knows? And then Blackburn Rovers, they came very, very close to getting to the playoffs last year. So I think they'll do it this year. From a relegated side, I think Charlton Athletic, I think this league will be just like a little bit too much. Although, rightly, I was definitely, twisting a little bit, thinking, should it be them or should it be Hull? I don't think Hull are as big a mess as Sheffield Wednesday are. So which is why I've not put them in here. I think Charlton will be a little bit too much for them. Oxford United, like you say, they've been fighting to stay with their head above water for the last couple of seasons since getting promoted, and I think this will be one too much. And then Sheffield Wednesday, my heart bleeds for them, it really does. I watch so many of their fans on TikTok and on social media. I watched the Wednesday Till I Die, the live fan body last night, which reminded me so much of when the Wrexham Supporters Trust had those meetings at the Wrexham Lager Club, because it was just that you could see it's just fans with despair on their face of what do we do, and trying to organise themselves into a group to try and do something. But that ultimately, you can jump up and down, you can not buy kit, you not buy stuff and put money in Chansiri's pocket, you can invade the pitch and disrupt games. What can you do if the guy won't sell? You can't force him. And all he's doing, I mean, the North Stand being condemned this week, which means that 6,000 season ticket holders now have to be moved to somewhere in the ground. So it's going to be a 3-sided ground. I just think and he's known about this for 3 years, that the fact that the stand was in trouble. He's done nothing, and yes, apparently to start with, he put his money in, and that's fine because he's been at the club for 10 years. But I think it's a cautionary tale for everybody that, when the times are good, enjoy the times. Because, Christmas time last season, Sheffield Wednesday were close to playoffs. They were absolutely vying for playoff position, and they were a penalty kick away from getting to the Premiership a number of seasons ago. Enjoy it while it lasts, because it can easily go south. In
other news, what the hell are you doing on TikTok?
Because I'm young and hip.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, there we go. There's our choices for the 2025-26 Chip Shop League. We will be doing our first predictions next week. And at Christmas time, I will give both of these lucky people a chance to change a couple of teams if they want to, because I'm sure that all these will be perfectly right. But just in case they do want to change their mind, Dad's Sheffield Wednesday in the bottom three. Just telling you that now.
So where did we all think Huddersfield are going to finish?
What about Rotherham? Where are they going to finish? I just like the fact that Cardiff are going to get relegated again, even though they're not in this division. I love that. Well done, ChatGPT. Who says you don't know what you're doing? Well, there you have it. As we say, a fond farewell, a goodbye, and a massive thank you to club legend Joey Jones. We'll wish you all a fond goodbye as well. Obviously, if you want to comment, please leave a comment on YouTube or on any of the social media packages that we run. Or if you want to send us an email, eatmorechipspodcast, all one word, @gmail.com. Please send us an email and say hello and ask us a question or just some comments, and we'll gladly read them out. Obviously, next week we're not going on holiday anymore. I mean, Daz will be eventually, obviously, because that's what he does, but we won't be going on holiday. So we'll be looking back at the FC Groningen game, perhaps some more new signings by that point, and look forward to the opening 2 games of the season away at Southampton. Oh, makes me sick just thinking about it. And I did get a ticket today, so I will be going, which is great. And obviously
top red.
Top red, that's me. And obviously the whole city at home in the Carabao Cup. Please let us know by the usual channels, social media and email, as we welcome your comments and questions. As always, my thanks go to my 2 colleagues who continue to baffle and entertain in equal measure. So, thank you, Jamie.
Pleasure.
And thank you, Daz.
Come on, co-pilot.
1-0. I've been Welsh Techie. Obviously, see you next week. Even though much has changed, some things stay the same, and we will obviously play out with my Hen Lads and Hadai, the Welsh National Anthem. But firstly, just going to have a minute's silence for the legend, the man, the myth, Mr. Wrexham, Joey Jones. Rest in peace. Come on, Cymru, and come on the town.
Clinton, 1-0. Thomas, after like a goal. That's number 5.
He's it through to Bellamy. Craig Bellamy. It's 2-1 Wales. Craig Bellamy. Tony Hughes for Wrexham into the lead.
And that's it! Wrexham are champions! Wrexham are champions! Wrexham are the FA Trophy winners 2013! Alex Cross, great ball! Equaliser! Elliot Lee!
Back to back promotions. Oh, can you believe it?
The Eat More Chips Podcast!